Hello and welcome back to my GTNH playthrough. It is Monday, October 6th, and we are below my reactors in my new primary power. So I did end up setting this up over the weekend. This was my main goal for the weekend, was to set this up. Technically my goal was to move over all the power from the other sets of reactors above to this, which I didn't quite, or really I didn't move really anything over yet, but I will kind of move them over as I go. Nothing really too much of note down here, besides this Lapatron. If you can look, I've got, I believe that's 5.4 billion EU storage in here because I did upgrade to the IV capacitors. I actually am kind of tempted because I forgot this multi-block is modular to stack a couple extra layers here just because of the sheer amount of power I think I'll ultimately be pulling out of this thing. But that's it's another day's problem. So for the actual setup, it's just the same setup as before, just actually using color all the way through now, just because everything, cables are irrelative for how inexpensive they are now for me. I did end up having one rollback, and it was specifically because I forgot to I put these two cards in here, but then I didn't specify the 360 coolant cell, which I could have swore I did, but that's alright. So it did end up, the first cycle of running these, they did end up melting down, and I had to roll back, but otherwise it does seem to be going smooth. We'll see here in a bit if I end up having any issues once this guy gets below and does another cycle, but when I sat here and watched it, after the rollback, I put these guys up and just sat there and watched the temperature, and it hasn't gone up. So these guys are MOX reactors. I did decide to go with the 69 heat percent, or 69% for heat, for the moment. I'll upgrade them if I end up needing more power or like up the temperature, but I went with the 69 because that way I can stand here without taking damage, mostly just because that's annoying and I didn't want to take random damage while I was here. But because honestly, I'm not really too worried about, if it wasn't for the damage thing, I would run them at 99 because I'm not too worried about the tick up of heat, since if these start ticking up for any reason, they're going to explode anyway, so it doesn't really matter whether it's 69 or 99. But yeah, so it was nice to get this all set up. These are ZPM cable, the Nequata. The only thing I did on the weekend besides this, like specifically on the weekend, was I did end up setting up that Nequata EBF that I was talking about before. And that is this guy right here, where I just am constantly running it because waiting on that cable down there was painful. Then this guy over here is, I did set up the Nequata dope wafers. I haven't done much with those. Like, I set up the craft to cut them, but otherwise, actually, you know what? That's not quite true. So, come over to the IV tab, it'll show it better. So I got the wafers, and then I did craft the first of these, but I haven't used these chips for anything. I got these done because my main like progression goal at the moment is I want to craft the precise assembler and then the neutronium something or another multi-block. It's multi-blocks, goals. Yeah, I'm working on this precise assembler so I can get this neutron activator. I need these two multi-blocks to actually finish the Nequata line properly and get much more efficient and much faster Nequata, and very motivated with how long I ended up having to wait for Nequata. I should have set this up sooner before I started messing with the Nequata line, but I figured I would be fine until, yeah, but whatever, I talked about that last week. So with that upgrade to power though, I did start cleaning up the base a bit. There's a few different things I fixed. The first area is, so this is my passive reactor, as I like to call it, which I have ingots passively crafting down here. The only reason this one's off is this one's specifically dedicated to steel, just because I was running into throughput issues. So I did swap all these out to be not overclocked IV EBFs. I did that because that way when they run into maintenance issues, they don't just immediately shut off, and especially the freezers, which I did do on this side, and I will do shortly on this side. Although I think Yeah, I took the overclock off this one already anyways. I'm just going to swap it back up to IV. That way it's just a little faster. And then, so everything down here is just pure IV, no overclock. I have this guy, I plug these in, but I have so much oxygen hydrogen at the moment, I'm not running these. Because I do have the 16 multi-blocks upstairs for that. I'll probably end up tearing these down and using them for the what is it called, nitrogen ones I want to make with the air intake hatches, but that's we'll see. I might leave these just as like an emergency backup. Doesn't really hurt to craft a couple extra. Along with that, the biggest upgrade, and pretty excited about, is over in the auto crafting tower. So over here, because I got that one set down, this is the first battery that is being powered off the main power, and with that, all of the auto crafting multi-blocks have been not only upgraded to IV, but are on wired power now. They were able to be upgraded because they're on wired power, instead of formerly all these were powered by CBD, or I'm just going to say diesel for the rest of the time, just for simplicity. All these guys, this one can't be overclocked, but everything this floor, and then more importantly on this floor, I also upgraded all of the assemblers to IV. There are a few assemblers I haven't moved over still, like circuits 21 through 23 in particular are still down on the lower floors at EV. I'll move those up soonish. I was going to do them, but funnily enough, because of all the IV battery buffers and energy hatches and assemblers I crafted today, I'm actually out of tungsten at the moment. Turns out 10k tungsten was enough to just get me to this point, because that's what I have the level maintainer sat at. But yeah, all this stuff is swapped up, and that's coming from 3 runs from here. I haven't quite decided whether I'm going to do a second battery for these lower floors, or I'm just going to run more power from this guy. Since a lot of these sit passive most of the time, it's not too big of a deal to run a bunch of stuff out of here, but I haven't quite decided how I'm going to go. I'm for sure going to power the next 4 above, and I even laid out kind of what I want. So I want to move the passive assemblers up here. Like, for example, I want all the SMDs on their own assembler. Some of the a simple one is like, I wait a surprisingly long amount of time for wooden chests for a lot of recipes, just because that's the basis for most casings. So I want to assembler up here, level maintaining that. This side's where I want my fluid solidifier, and then kind of the instigator for all this was the fluid mixer. So they're not actually called fluid mixers, but they're going to be mixing multi-blocks that use both regular inputs as well as a fluid input, which is, I was looking at the precision assembler, and not so much the assembler, but the Mark 1 casings, I believe. Yeah, there's just a bunch of different, like, alloys is the word I'm looking for, that when you take them back to what they're, or how they're mixed up, they are these kind of recipes. And I was doing these on single blocks, but I was like, nah, it's time to kind of knock that off and set up some mixers up here. The only reason I'm not doing them with the mixers down here is I'm pretty low on channels as it is, and I do want to fix the way I have these going eventually, so I don't want to put myself in a position where I just have too much stuff down here. And all these mixers up here, I think so far from what I was looking ahead at, I need circuit 2, 3, and 4, so at least 3 mixers, and then all of those will be with my subnetting the way I like subnet autocraft, which no, this is not a good example. The one I have set up is over here, this guy, where it's 2 dual interfaces back to back, etc. Aside from that, the only other thing I did was do some minor upgrades over here, which are pretty much along the same vein. So I had to get to, oh, actually, I forgot a really simple thing. I did craft the infinite spray can. I was excited about that. I kind of got sidetracked with it earlier, but with all the cables I'm running, I was like, I better just knock this out. And to do it, I needed to make a 256K crafting component or storage component, which needed my first was the first time I needed one of these laser engravers at Ivy. I kind of went the lazy way about it, where I just ran this cable down. I also noticed that as I upgrade all these other ones to Ivy, I'm gonna have to change all these up to dual interfaces, mainly because like this recipe actually requires no, it wasn't this one. It was, oh yeah, this SOC ASOC wafer actually required distilled water as part of it to get the Nequata doped wafer. So that'll be something I have to do, which like, because I didn't realize I was going to eventually be this thing, you can see these are all regular interfaces. I will at some point make this neater and fix this. I have a feeling I'm going to sooner than later also need LUV laser engravers and circuit assemblers. I believe I need to craft, when I was looking ahead in the quest book, a few circuits in an LUV circuit assembler before I get a multi-block option. So I'm not too worried about fixing this to make it look pretty now, but that is coming up soon. I will correct that. And then while I'm at it, at some point over here, I do plan on decommissioning all these thorium reactors I have hanging out underneath the structures over here, especially because they're unprotected. So if something were to happen, they all are just ready to blow up this whole thing. But now that I have the primary power, I will just move some power over here, get rid of those reactors, and then at the same time I'll be able to upgrade all those multi-blocks if I need to, which I forgot the whole reason I was coming over here is, so I upgraded that laser engraver, and then while I was at it, one of the other minor pieces of progress I made in the quest book is actually in the LUV tab. I got this elite circuit board crafted. I haven't set it on a level maintainer yet, but I will here shortly. And then while I was at it, I went ahead and upgraded the way I crafted over here, because before it was an interface pulling items out to multiple different input buses with filters, etc. Instead, now we're at our dual, and then actually these were all being run at HV. I did upgrade them to EV, and then when I bring power over here proper, I'll upgrade all of them to IV so I can get some speed, because those elite circuit boards at HV were taking 30 seconds for each part of it, so a minute total. I want to bring that down a decent amount more, so it'll instead be 15 seconds total for the two different crafts you need to do to make them once I upgrade them that way. But as for future plans for tomorrow and tonight, I'm not entirely sure. I think part of my plans will be making my plans on what I want to do. I will probably be, realistically, these Mark 1 casings starting to go through. Actually, you know what? I've got it. I want to craft those 3 mixers, set them up, the 3 different circuit fluid mixers, get all these different alloys programmed into auto, all their patterns made up, and all these different things going, so I can start working on this precision assembler. So I do want to get that done so I can kind of get myself settled into LUV nice and comfy before I kind of figure out my next piece of the roadmap. But that is kind of where I'm stuck up on progression. But yeah, I will get to working on that. Thank you for watching, and I hope everybody has a good night. Goodbye.